All right, so with our handsome Mr. T, I just wanted to work a little bit with, again, puppies and resources. So a lot of times puppies are, again, grabbing for things that we've deemed unacceptable. So remember, from your puppy's perspective, everything should be explored with their face. It's very normal for their development and even for small humans as well. So I would recommend, if there's any environmental zones where he's failing, to use, for example, management in the sense of baby gates, corrals, like maybe, for example, a leash in the home. Puppy proofing a section, just like we baby proof a zone, is going to be also really crucial, because anytime our puppy is rehearsing something, they're getting good at it. So like right now, I put out a couple chews for him. He thinks they're kind of hilarious. He's going to romp off to the side with one. What a good job you're doing, sir. He's like, back to my bed. So we do want to practice with the items our puppies are allowed to have that would be safe for them to practice with. Not leave it, but instead take it and drop it exercises, or treating and retreating. So what I mean by that is, let's say your puppy's enjoying a high value chew that they're allowed to have, but maybe you need to bring him out to the restroom, or you need to have him go take a nap, or he needs to go do something. So in that situation, even though he's very comfortable from our perspective just going and take something out of his mouth, the problem with sometimes either making it seem like we become the end of the game or the end of fun or the bringer of conflict, from your puppy's perspective, eventually when they have things, they may think it's important to run away from us. Then at times puppies can play the keep away game where you're never going to catch them. They're like the gingerbread man. And then other times it can turn into gulping, where they're swallowing things whole to try to prevent you from grabbing it. Or at times resource guarding can happen. So since he is a Great Pyrenees mix, and any dog can actually technically resource guard, it's a normal dog response. Resource guarding is, again, when your puppy or adult dog will covet something, they don't want to give it up or share it, and then behavior can escalate from there depending on how we work with them. So for some folks, they have been told, well, you got to show the dog who's the top dog. You got to just grab things and show them you're the boss. You have to be able to play with them or poke them or pat them or play in their food while they're enjoying something. Remember, that's a really great way to actually reinforce and drive behavior to resource guarding. So if, for example, we were enjoying something and someone nicely came and took the book out of our hands, but then gave it back and took the book and gave it back, you're going to try to avoid that crazy person that's constantly taking something that you're enjoying. So I understand that at times it's a safety situation. He's maybe grabbed one of the little kid's Legos, or he's done something where it could be dangerous for him. That would be, again, where having those treat stations throughout the home are going to be really crucial to redirect with a find it. You can also exchange one item for another. So for example, if your puppy grabbed the wrong thing, but you squeak a dog toy and he comes running for the dog toy, you're now reinforcing redirecting onto the better option. Though if he is constantly failing, he's getting really good at rehearsing those skills. So I'd be really careful with what he's mastering. If your puppy eventually starts to think that when we come near, it's going to be confrontational or spooky or hurt, they're going to start to escalate behavior potentially for down the road. Right now, just because your puppy is tolerant of the weird things people do to him does not mean come adolescence he's going to feel the same way. So there's a lot of moments where people will be like, oh, well, I used to be able to do this, this, and that. And then all of a sudden behavior kind of has been building, and we don't always see the change. Because for us as people, if we're not as cued in on dog body language, we miss out on the whispers. And then the only thing we notice is when the dog is finally shouting, which might be the bigger boy behavior. I love that he's playing all by himself right now. You're doing a very good job. What a smart man. So another great way to practice these exercises is to make sure that with the things he's allowed to have, be it a whole bunch of different toys, we maintain practicing that toy exchange game. So he could be playing with one chew, and then you redirect him onto like another toy by showing it to him. He drops the original toy and goes for the next item. You can also do this between food and toys and different types of chews. So that way your puppy can, with all different types of things he's potentially, again, supposed to be playing with, can then exchange from one to another. If again, every time we say drop it, we take the item from him, drop it starts to turn into I'm going to take it away. So then the puppy hears drop it and they're like, heck no, and they run the opposite direction. I love that he's just like romping with his toys right now. So let's say, for example, he's playing with toys he's allowed to have, and I want him to practice that me coming near is not a bad thing. So that is where the treat and retreat game would come into play. So let's say he's chewing on something, he's enjoying his food dish, he's doing something that again is perfectly good for him to do. I'm going to come over and I'm going to toss a couple snacks at him, and then I'm just going to walk away. So I didn't come, and take the thing away from him. I didn't try to right at his face, put food in his nose and pull it away. Because then that also can be confrontational, a little bit overwhelming, because it was more of a trickery moment. Like, here's this thing. And then when he looks at it, you pull away the other one. The next time he's gonna be like, not interested. And that's a great way to ruin your food. Because now if the food was the precursor to I'm taking the cooler thing away, then the problem there is then food becomes the I'm gonna take something and they won't really love it. So like right here, as he's just kind of going and exploring, I might actually go, I'm just gonna do a little find it, but I'm gonna grab some of these other toys that I have over here on this other side of the room. And I'm sorry, I'm out of range for a second. Just wanna grab some different items for the handsome boy. So here's a few rope toys and different tuggies. So that way, if let's say he was going and playing with an item, remember that too, even though he's gigantic, he is still just a baby. So a lot of times those teething moments are really uncomfortable. It's really, really tiring and feels yucky. So for a lot of puppies, they're looking for different textures to try to alleviate some of that pressure and that discomfort. So like right here, I'm gonna go, Teddy, see if I can get his attention. Nice, good job. And I'm gonna just go right into feeding him. So I'm not taking the item away. I just wanna feed him for doing a great little job disengaging, but checking in with me with a little bit of name recognition. So this way, again, we might bring him from one item to another. What do you think, sir? He's like, ooh. So then we could be playing with another tuggy. We could be going from one chew item to a tug. He can, again, have that bad boy, and we could rotate through multiples. He's like, I gotta go back to my chew item. So the treating and retreating helps your puppy start to realize that, gee, every time they come near, something good happens. So remember, like with the person who was reading a book and then the other person's just taking it and giving it back? The benefit of, let's say, that person about to come over and they give you $1,000 before they go anywhere near your book, you might be like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So you can start to feel that, hey, when the weirdo comes to visit me, they're going to give me a really cool paycheck. And they're not going to necessarily always take the thing away from me. It's going to build up that maybe, as opposed to holding on to it and holding on tight, I put the book down waiting for the next big $1,000 to hit my way. So for Mr. T, he decided it'd be really cool to come back and do his place behavior because it's like one of his favorites, but he's also getting kind of tired. Nice job, sir. So, but you could also do the toy exchange game where, again, you have multiple toys he's allowed to have, and you practice getting him to let go of one for another or exchange for food, and do find it and practice letting go. Because then if he does grab the kid's toy, you could quickly do the exact same skill that he already knows how to do and apply it to the thing he shouldn't have in the first place. Because remember, if your puppy doesn't know, it's like it got stuck in his jowl. So if your puppy doesn't know what these games are, how is he going to apply it to the real world setting, which could be something dangerous or something that's off limits or an actual leave it item? So he's off to get a drink. So I would highly recommend practice these things just as much as you would any of your other skills. So if sits become like your go-to dance move, maybe practice with items on the ground and work a bit with take it and drop it. Work a bit with exchanging from one toy to another. Practice the treating and then retreating from the item. So he could be like enjoying, let's say, his food, and you're going to have higher value goodies or treats or foods, like let's say chicken breast or something he likes, but is, again, tolerant for his tummy. And as he's enjoying his meal, you just go and you toss a couple snacks at his direction or in his bowl, and you keep on walking. Good job, sir. So that way what you're doing is you're building up that you coming nearby or being present is not confrontational or overwhelming, but the bringer of good. This is really nice. So again, let's say he's enjoying that chew. I'm gonna go, Teddy. Ready? Oh, nice job. And I'm gonna feed him for that. He's like, take that, crazy lady. So I'm just feeding him for letting go. I'm not taking the thing away. So sometimes it's gonna be moments of just practicing letting go. And then of course now I know he's kind of tired, so he might wanna work a little bit with that down and work his place. What a good job. He's like, lady, let's just take a nap. You're such a smart boy. So sometimes also going from the woohoo of play to then going back into taking a breather is actually another great thing to practice. Because a lot of times puppies know how to go on. They don't always know how to come off of that and sort of simmer down and go off. So this could be a great exercise too. You're, for example, working a little bit with some play and getting him a little excited. And then from there, see if you can go and bring him to a place or to a little spot or even a little down anywhere and feed for the calm. You could also too, like I mentioned earlier with Miss R, is you could work a little bit with that up-down game. So again, if you're not familiar with the up-down game, check out Ruby's videos. We did a little bit with some pattern games. So for up-down, this is where you're feeding for when the dog looks up at you on their own, and you feed the ground, which is the down part. So if, let's say, for example, he's giving me eyes, I'm going to go yes and feed technically the ground, which is the mat for now. And I'm going to wait for those eyes to hit me again. And then when they do find my face, he's like, oh, so tired. He's actually probably going to fall asleep on me. That still counts, yes. So he's like looking up at me while almost trying to nap. Right there, yes. So this could also be a great way to, like, your toddler's doing something or little ones are up to doing something or the hubby's up walking around or vice versa. And then these little moments where things are still going on around him, we can work on simmering and kind of chilling and then making eye contact. But I'm not constantly telling him, yes, to give me eyes. I'm letting him find my face. Yes. So again, with the up down, you're just feeding, yes. For the moment his eyes hit you, you feed the ground. So that way he has to go down to grab the snack, yes, and then go back up to find your face. So that's the point of the up down. So I'm just reloading, yes. Again, if he's looking at your hands, you could put it behind your back like I did earlier with Miss R. So right here, he's looking at my pouch, and I want to wait for those eyeballs to hit my face. Yes, I'm a feed for that. I think he's losing a tooth because I feel like, yes, when he's crunching down, he almost takes a little pause because it's maybe a little uncomfortable. Yes, nice. So obviously we're just throwing in a little bit with the up-down pattern game mid-working a relaxation moment on his cot. So you can, of course, rotate through a few different skills. That way it keeps your puppy more engaged or more interested in the play or the training. I would keep your sessions, again, like we've mentioned in class, short and sweet for greater success. Because if they go a little too long, you're more than likely going to get a tired puppy and a more mouthy puppy, and at times more rambunctious. So always try to do a little bit of yin and yang where there's softness mixed in with some wild and back and forth. So we can go and check out his chew, but we're going to give Mr. T a little break. He did a really great job. Let him maybe do a little potty break and then rotate through the beauties again. But what a brilliant boy. So smart. I know, such a smart boy.